Welcome, everybody. We're here with Brands and Aggregators today, and I am standing in for Hai. You may notice I don't look quite the same as on every weekly episode. This is Melissa Simonson, happy to stand in here for Hai, and I'd love to welcome Omar and Matt Parker.
How you doing all?
Hi, hope you're okay.
Yes, all good, great. Thank you so much that you have joined us today, Matt. Thank you, Melissa. Unfortunately, Hai could not make it today, but we will make the best out of it and just take it from here. Matt,
sure.
So you are working with Pinformative, a platform or more of a company which is running Pinterest ads or everything services around Pinterest. Pinterest nowadays is very, I would say, very important, very undervalued. But let us hear from the expert right now, because this is as
the
far.
Expert. Sorry, where's the expert? No, I'm joking.
Who's that? I'm really excited to hear about this. So Matt,
sure.
I hope that we can totally pick your brain for everybody who's listening, and also I'm terribly curious about all of this and how Pinterest can play a role for a seller.
Definitely.
Sure. I mean, I have been told off that I go too technical sometimes. I'm trying to speak English. I've been told off many times recently for that, because obviously my background is engineering and development. And I come from the .com boom back when Macromedia, I used to work with Macromedia before Adobe.
Whoa.
So,
yeah. I remember this one.
I can see the face there thinking, what's this dinosaur doing in the room? But it's kind of cool, because what's happened is with Meta, I was working in Meta and JavaScript 20 years ago. So when blogs came into fruition and you had bootstrap coding, it's called, what happened is that animated websites was devalued by Apple, and Flash Macromedia lost its traction. But what's really interesting is that everything's gone full circle. And I've obviously been working in e-commerce, and suddenly sort of e-commerce and multimedia optimization has come together again with Meta, with Java, with everything else. And Pinterest is the only platform on earth that facilitates our skill set, really, as a media team. But people do ask, they say, for example, oh, social media. And I say, no, it's not social media, because if you look at Instagram, for example, you've got selfies, you've got people launching, different, different events, like DJs, etc. With Pinterest, there's not a single selfie, it's digital media. And so what our expertise is basically is digital media, not social media, which is totally different. And so, yeah, we're an agency. I won't speak too much because I know you probably can't get a word in edgeways. I'll just, trying to give you an overview. But I was asked at sort of 26 years old, could you rank a website, for example, with zero content, just with Meta and JavaScript, to Google position 1? That was the kind of things I was asked as a kid. And then obviously what's happened, it was crazy. It was like, how do you get these clean hacks for Meta to get it up to Google and optimize that? So what we've done, we've created an agency. We have a key differentiator within the agency, which is a multimedia engine. And that engine helps put keywords within video algorithms, you name it. And we're tapping into every API on earth. That's the goal. And Pinterest allows that. That's the whole point. And I think people from the Amazon space will understand this, is that when you say to people from the Amazon space, freedom of terms of service, they kind of get a blank look, like, what's that? It doesn't, where am I free? Because the thing is, we're all funneled. I've got Amazon companies, we were rated top 3% in Europe with our category personalized, but the point isn't that. Well, this is it. And I'm part of the eBay global development team as well. So I'm seeing things on the outskirts. And Pinterest is almost, when I present it across the world now, I'm saying it's like the air traffic control of e-commerce. You can redirect traffic flows wherever you want to go. And the most important thing, which I'll try not to get too technical, is that the Pinterest system is built on the KAS Kubernetes system, which is an open source system that Google facilitates. So every board on Pinterest ranks as highly as a URL of a website, and people don't know.
Wow.
So exactly. And if you look at DSP,
very significant.
Really significant. But the thing is, I always say this, people look at Pinterest as an aesthetically pleasing platform. lifestyle images. But, we've learned from A/B testing through vectorization, the correct font styles, hitting it with the right sort of videos at the right time, that it's way more than that under the hood. So yeah, we kind of utilized that over the last 2 years, and now we've got companies on our agenda that we work with. So we're working with third-party companies such as Disney and DC, who underneath the Snapchat and TikTok demographic of 12 years old, kind of like the kids area, but 70% of ladies on Pinterest buy. So it's kind of the perfect, synergy, really. But there you go. That's
Okay.
kind of what we're doing.
Great. I mean, it's already a very good summary. Just to throw something in from what I know about Pinterest, it's been, I think, 3 or 4 years. I actually was pointed in the direction by Joe Reichsfeld. Don't know if you, I'm sure you know him, Melissa, or Matt as well. Maybe, I'm not sure, but anyway.
I haven't. I would love to.
Okay. So he pointed me in a direction 4 years ago, and unfortunately, I didn't take the step into it to understand it better. I mean, I checked it out and everything, but I didn't take the step to go into it. But when the years passed by, I was looking into it. I was recently again pointed in direction, and I took actually the lead. And I work with someone who built up for our brand, for Margin Business, for myself, for branding us, a very clean Pinterest account. So having said that, when I checked the platform, it didn't have changed a lot since 4 years or 3-4 years ago. And now I don't know the back end or anything, but I look at the front. So that means for me that we're still early in the process. And this is, I think, why Hai as well had the idea to bring you on, because actually it's so good, it's so hot that you can make so many things with it. And what was relevant 3 or 4 years ago, what Joe said, is still relevant today. So we were so early in the process, and everyone who is still there is still early in the process. So what do you think, Melissa? Are you on the same line? Do you have as well this type of information about Pinterest?
Yeah, so I think most of the view that I have heard about from Pinterest is that it's sort of this secret weapon that some people use to see like what is actually trending in terms of products. When you're going to choose, your next big seller, you're about to start sourcing and all that stuff, how do you know? And so there's a lot of, keyword research, and there's a lot of, is this listing optimized? Can I compete against this? But also in terms of just like where to start the search, it has been going around in the Amazon community for a little while that starting on Pinterest is very valuable, because you've got a bunch of people that are potentially in your target market who are telling you what they're interested in by repinning it. And so there's definitely that aspect. And I'm curious, given that, using this as sort of a sourcing resource, what are the other ways that that sellers can use this? Because that's the biggest one that I'm aware of. But I'm definitely curious about. So we're saying that you can help people find you, right? If it's marking you as like its own URL, that's the significance of having these pins, then it helps you get found, and it helps you source products and determine what's trending or what's going to sell. Maybe what else can sellers actually use this for?
Oh man, okay, so
we have time, and we need this.
Uh-huh.
We need this because there is really a lot of people who will listen to this and will want to know more how they can leverage Pinterest completely without getting a headache. You understand? Because it's a very complex platform, although
like
it looks
one more thing.
easy,
My camera's gone a bit blurred. I'll just see. Not that you want to see my face, but I don't know. I'll carry on anyway. But
I'll give you a high five back. How's that? No,
high five back. There you go. oh, it worked. Nearly worked. So yeah, I mean, you were completely right. And so recently I had to do 3 presentations in 7 days in 3 countries. That was really tiring, but I learned how to answer some of these questions a bit better, because I've kind of been a geek on the street. I've been in a room for 15 years. So for me, I was always at the back of the room. I've been pulled forward. So the reason I say this is because I'm learning what people have as problems. So I'm trying to make solutions through utilizing Pinterest's algorithm, systematical approach. And what you've just touched upon then, Melissa, is really important, because when you target people on Pinterest, the followers has its own algorithm. So if you look at, for example, Instagram, all those followers, again, are social followers, but followers on Pinterest are a different thing altogether, because approximately, I would say, this is a guesstimate, I would say between 40 and 60% of those followers are underneath the awareness stage in the funnel. They're already considering you because they're interested in what you've got to offer. So to launch a product to somebody already interested is way more easier than launching to somebody that doesn't know you exist. So if you can build those followers, I don't call them followers, I call them people of interest. Eventually, if you've got like 10K worth of followers on Pinterest, imagine that you can repin to somebody, a big influencer or micro influencer, pull in their traffic from, say, I don't know, skiing as a hobby, and you're selling ski wear, you've already got them trapped in your funnel. That's powerful. So you can launch straight away. Wow. Exactly. And that's the whole point. It's underutilized, but not understood. But it's a long game. This is the thing. It's kind of like, we've had a few clients come along saying, oh, you know, we need to test it for a month. And I'm like, well, I can't speak to the engineers at Pinterest to change the algorithm. So I don't know what to do for you. Because the thing is with the organics on Pinterest, we call it the nourish to flourish at Pinformative. It takes 2 to 4 months to gauge this sort of avalanche effect of traction with interests. And the sweet spot is actually about 1K worth of followers, which starts to snowball, the snowball effect. But, you know, that's just one element that's powerful, that you can gauge people who are interested, and you can repin, you can target people with similar interests. So if you hit somebody with a huge influence, they've got a big following, suddenly you could actually not steal the traffic, but you could be sharing the traffic and collaborating with them. So it's pinning with interest. It's kind of like you've got this whole spider network of different people that you can target. But the one thing that I recently spoke about, in fact, there's 2 things that I spoke about that I think are the most important things with Pinterest, is that my co-partner Maria over in Washington, she mostly does content, etc., and I'm more of the database side of things. And she was saying, you know, we need to maybe target the most popular items. And I was like, no, you don't understand, because we've been on calls with Pinterest agents, engineers, and even they don't realize what they've got on their hands, which is interesting. They don't realize that every single marketplace on earth and every single social, Snap, TikTok, all of them, in this airport, you could be selling your low-hanging fruits to different demographic audiences and redirecting them to Amazon with the 10% up to 10% attribution. So that's kind of like where you would normally just target the Amazon community through Amazon. You can target the Etsy community and redirect them to Amazon and sell the things that aren't selling. So it's the perfect place to try and sell your FBA inventory that's stuck on the shelf and maybe you've got no traction on. And suddenly you've got 5, 6, you know, Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce, all these different markets. And you're just saying, hey, look over here, I've got what you want. And there you go. That's one of the most important things that I spoke about. And the second is rankability. So a lot of people that I've spoke to on the road have said, oh, attribution, you know, how many sales do you get? What's the ROI? The thing is, that's okay. That's needed to track deep data flows. But the thing is, what's more important? Is it more important to get 5 sales through attribution or reach number 2 through organic traffic that the A9 algorithm takes into consideration, rank you up to number 2 and get 200 sales? So you've got this multi-flow of traffic coming from all angles, and Google likes that. So you kind of hitting Amazon, if you're dealing with Amazon and Google and Pinterest all at the same time, which is, again, really powerful. So there you go.
Really a good demonstration of how it sort of acts as an air traffic controller. I think that's amazing. And I think that's one of the things people are most concerned about. Like, how do I get people to my listing? How do I get people to my Shopify store? Because I want to clear out, you know, this 3PL that I had stuff in. And, you know, yep. I think that's a really good problem solver. You know, this is a pain point people have.
Yeah, and even more powerful than that, you can get hold. I mean, I'm working with some big TikTok influencers at the moment, and Pinterest is underutilized with that kind of TikTok Pinterest synergy. They've got a few problems with geo targeting, but I won't go into that. But basically, if you imagine this, you can go viral on every single pin that you have in your account, not just once, like Snap and TikTok. So I'll get the name right. So if you imagine that you've gone viral on TikTok, you could just pin that across, share that to your account. You can potentially go viral twice and redirect those traffic flows to wherever you want to go. That's virality on a double scale. So again, people don't see this because it's stuff where it's kind of like, I had a car in my recent presentation with no engine, no wheels, no anything. And I said, this is what you see, an aesthetically pleasing platform. Put in the dragster engine and all the hybrid wheels. And that's kind of what Pinterest is, but nobody's utilizing in that way because like you said, Omar, it's kind of early to the game. And I think they floated in 2019. They've been around a while, but I think that injection on the stock side of things has made them sort of flourish in the last 2 years with the pandemic as well. So yeah, things are changing pretty quickly. Every day we're getting something. We've just got to be ahead of our game every day, really, dealing with that kind of thing. So
just one question. How is it? I think there's as well a shop, a Pinterest shop, if I understand correctly, or not. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So not only that you can pin people, not only that you can share traffic or even get traffic voluntarily or not, or involuntarily, or in collaboration, or just you can as well sell directly to customers, correct? Is it only available for the US, or do we have possibilities in the European Union worldwide to use this?
Yeah, no, that's the whole point. Like, so we've been on calls lately with people who are Pinterest trinsics, so kind of like Pinterest sellers. And the thing is, this is where they don't understand that Pinterest are just focusing on Pinterest. And that's your point, is that there is still that market there, but we're kind of what we are. We're an agency that aren't a Pinterest agency. We're an agency that's working with Pinterest. We have to make that kind of known, kind of the traffic flow. But another thing, I don't know whether you guys have heard of buyable pins. Have you heard of that? Either one of you?
No.
So what I find interesting, because of the system that it's built on, Pinterest, is that they have these little kind of pros for different markets. So for example, with WooCommerce and others, you can have rich pins that actually automatically update from your store product because they're connected by deep meta. So if you basically update your whole store, all of your Pinterest account gets updated and bumps on Google. I mean, that's
That's amazing.
And but that's, well, I'm going to go into something else. I'm going to talk about NFTs because I've got a thing I'm working on. I'm still A/B testing it.
No.
Open up. Open up the back.
Well, I can't speak about it yet, but I'm launching something. I bought it 2 years ago. Being the geek that I was in crypto in 2015. So I'm watching everybody, but I know what I'm going to launch through Pinterest. Because again, there's a huge synergy that's been underutilized and not been tapped into yet. But the thing is, with regards to Pinterest and how much access it has, this is crazy. So this is a buyable pin. So in the US now, on Shopify and BigCommerce, if you've got a pin, you have a buy now button that's linked to your store's API and pulls the stock basically from your API. You never leave Pinterest, and there's a 50% higher conversion rate. So literally, they're in the funnel, they've got interest, they don't leave the pin, and they buy straight away. And your stock comes from your Shopify account. I mean, that's just
wow.
Yeah, that's great. So why not everyone using it? I mean, we are the show is the show is brands with aggregators. So why all brands not using it? Why not even aggregator using it? What you're saying now, or what from what I understand, it would be even intelligent or to either work with an agency or have an in-house Pinterest specialist, which I'm not sure there are too many of them available at the moment, because I know myself, I try to hire a lot Pinterest related people, but it's very hard to find, and they're mostly women, as you already said, Melissa, because they understand with the whole buying, shopping side of things, how these things work. So you need to somehow combine knowledge, take a person who knows the shopping side and take a person who knows the data side, merge them together, and then you have it. But like I said, I think it's better than to hire an agency than doing your own soup.
Well, You're completely right. I mean, you've got your VAs, etc. But the thing is, so when we were building our team for 12 months, I was specifically, because my background, like I said, I used to be under digital direction. I come from a background working with digital directors. So this is why I'm saying it's different, because because I'm qualified, my qualification is multimedia and UI interface design. So when I was working with multimedia, which is exactly what it says, multimedia, I had to be great at script writing. I had to try and nail it with Flash Macromedia, videography.
I come from Flash 4. I stopped at Flash 4.
There you go. So you know what I'm saying there, with tweens and action scripts, and I had to code it all. But you can see where this is going with the metaverse, if you know about that, because obviously you can see, I mean, Adobe's got Animate and there's all this kind of stuff happening. But what you've nailed it on the head. So what we did, we took a year out to train a team of 20, 30 people who were qualified as Pinterest strategists, not as VAs. And so they have this skill set in a lot of different areas, and they're a difficult thing to progressively build. But because I've come from that background, it was easier to build a team and understand how to apply that knowledge. So yeah, it's like you say, it's relatively new. Why aren't aggregators using this? Because it doesn't exist. I'm traveling around and they're like, digital what? You know, social media, digital, what you're talking about? That's kind of like the reaction. And you were right as well before when you mentioned about being a secret weapon. But, you know, this is why we have formulated and why I could see that gap moving forwards with the skill set that I've got. And I thought, well, if I can find the right team, then, you know, going forwards, we could be onto something. And suddenly, yeah, we're getting, you know, agencies and brands. We've not got aggregators yet, but I think that it could be an edge for aggregation. And that you've got a brand, you can see that anyway. I know you can see that sort of edge that you've got with competitors. So yeah, it's you're absolutely spot on with that. So yeah.
So let's say someone has the goal of like increasing their rank. They're, you know, maybe they're not on the first page anymore, and they need to get back on the first page. Let's say they really want to get help with their Amazon store. And they are considering, okay, so he says I can use Pinterest to do this. What does that look like? Where do they start? How do they make a move on this? And then how does your agency sort of step in and assist with things like that?
And without throwing it away their inventory.
Yeah.
for free, you know?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. I mean, I could answer that in 3 hours probably, if I'm being truthful. If you've got 3 hours, I'll tell you all the different angles and all the things that you can destroy and blow up and get wrong, because we've done it. And that's the whole point. You know, you learn and you fail and you grow. But what Pinterest facilitates is that they allow you to have up to 6 accounts. I think it's 6 or 5. So many people, they'll do 2 accounts together. So say, for example, Shopify and Amazon, you can have different boards. So you could have 2 stores with it. But we don't endorse that, just because it's better to have 2 separate accounts, just in case you end up with Amazon pulling your store. It'll take down all the links because they don't like dead links. So my advice is, if you're going to do a Pinterest account, do it specifically for one store. Then you get the true data and you get the true attribution. If you claim, for example, a website on Shopify, it confuses the attribution data because you're aiming at Amazon, but you've claimed another website on Shopify or WooCommerce or whatever. So that's one thing I'd say to consider before you start. Make sure that you do a Pinterest account just for the store that you're aiming at. I think that's a big deal. You just need to create a profile, just like you create a homepage. For example, a profile is a bit like your Facebook page, the banner. You've got some conversational text underneath, which is a 50-50 keyword conversational text balance in regards to keywording. And then what you do is create your pins, but the boards need to be broad keywords that are ranked high on Google, because that's what you got to think about. So you create your boards to synergize with Google, but at the same time, I know that Pinterest and, for example, Etsy have quite close correlations with the buying audience, with niche, with, you know. So if you're going to do something like, for example, kitchenware, don't do kitchenware bronze pans, for example. Just do kitchenware or kitchenware pans. Try and keep it broad but niche, which is a weird combination, but it makes sense because then you leave things open to put pins on that board. Once you've done your board, make sure that your pins, descriptions, alt text, keywords, and image correlate with the board. Don't put, for example, a guy playing football in a board where there's a ballerina, for example. It just doesn't go very well. And the biggest thing of all, which I've been trying to shout about for ages, is that the image engine software that Pinterest has is one of the most sophisticated on earth. And they have a great team over in San Francisco. And basically, when a pin is read on Pinterest, it reads the image first before the keywords on the description.
Wow.
Why is that important? Because if you think about that, this is why when I first partnered up with Marie, she was arguing, not arguing, we had a heated debate. I don't say argue. I can't say that. She'll kill me. But, we had a debate and she was like, everything's lifestyle. And I was like, well, why do everything like that then? You're not going to stand out on the home feed. So there's correlations with, for example, DSP Video Maker. And if anyone on Amazon, if they check Amazon's Video Maker, it has white area around the hero image. That's because it ranks higher on Google's shop feed. These are the little things they don't know. So when you create a pin, make sure it's clean, crisp, has the corporate colors as well. It reads the corporate colors from a human angle. So you've got color schemes, make sure they correlate throughout if you can. Except for idea pins, they're a bit different, but your product pins, make sure there's some sort of synergy. And it's a brand orientated platform. So it's exactly what what it says it is. If you're going to go into a store like Walmart, you would expect them green things to be everywhere and the signage to be the same. Have that in your mind and aim at an audience that's wanted to buy your brand, and don't make every single pin too much different. Make it vibrant, make it stand out, make it very clean. And don't, I think the last point I'll make is, like with lifestyle imagery, you've got a foreground and background. So for example, if I had a lamp behind me and I'm selling that and it's trying to keyword that, make sure the lamp's at the front, and that is the main thing that the image content engine is looking for, because that will rank your keywords based on foreground and background. These are the things people don't realize. It's kind of like, it's an image-based, as we all know, it's an image-based platform. Yes. So images are really important, but it keywords images first. So that's about it, really.
Great. I know you've given us already a lot, and I'm sure you agree with that, Melissa. It's yes. A lot of information, and we have to re-look everything, re-watch everything, and pick out what we need, maybe as sellers, maybe as agencies. But I still ask the next question: what would be your ultimate hack? Like something you give up to us, which is very you can give. I mean, obviously, nothing you cannot.
I've got
give
one.
Up, but like something like
I've always got one in the back room. I've got to have a couple in the back room. I don't go black hat. I'm kind of grey and white, in between. Okay. So, but all I'd say is, so for example, in your alt text, it's not something that we can facilitate in a big 7, 8, 9 figure brand, just because it takes a bit of time. But for somebody starting off on Pinterest, it's a really cool hack. So in your alt text, you can actually put your website, your hashtags, and get more traffic twice. So that's a bit of a hack for you, is if you can include your website, don't think of it as something that just reads out the description. Use the alt text, because it's quite a powerful feature that's underutilized, and you might just get that edge on your competition.
Well, so, I think this is really good.
You actually, so you put your website in the alt text, or you put your additional hashtags in the alt text? Both. Okay. Wow, that's very powerful.
Yeah, because I know that with hashtags, you see, the thing is with hashtags, it's kind of Pinterest has had a love-hate relationship with hashtags in the last 2 years. And but coming from the background I have, seen the hashtag, I know it's a universal language that can correlate across all media. So if it's in there and you've got it in Instagram, Facebook, wherever, then obviously Google reads that. So, that's why I'm saying you can have that connection between your brands on every social platform if you just throw it in there, and maybe you'll rank a bit higher on Google as well.
Really smart.
Great. I mean, I have no more questions for the moment. Do you have anything else, Melissa?
I want to know if you could tell us, what is the biggest mistake you made when you were trying to figure all this out?
Oh, I've done loads. I mean, I have. And, in our case study that we have we have like a little pin that's our brochure. It's a USB pin. So rather than, this is the thing, when you say it's miseducated, I just give this out at conventions now, because I'm like, I can't explain all this again. I'll give them a USB. It's got everything on there. And it shows the content of the case studies that we did. And it actually shows a part where it dropped off and we got deactivated. But it's not as scary as people think with getting deactivated on Pinterest, because the image spam filters are quite strong to make sure that people don't duplicate images. So I'd say the biggest thing that we've done wrong is you've got to be careful with Tailwind and schedulers, because we scheduled a pin that looked exactly the same. And that's quite a common thing that could happen. Oh, my God, I think I'm talking too much. This is switching me off here. Yeah, I don't know what happened then. But yeah, so I think that's really important, actually, that our fault is a big deal for people out there, because if you're scheduling, be really careful that you don't put the same image on twice, because the spam filter will pull you. So I think that's a big one, definitely.
That's excellent. I think that's all the questions that I could think of. Wow, this has been very informative and very exciting. I guess one last thing that I would ask is, I can see some very obvious benefits for sellers, and for product-based businesses. Is this something that also service providers are now using more and more, it seems like?
They are. I mean, you've got 40% more cost efficient ads platform there. So it's kind of like, your top side's almost $2.50 compared to what, $25 on Amazon. Right. But I thought I didn't know how I'd get received almost, I think it was 18 months ago down in London at Seller Sessions, because I'm walking around a lot of, Amazonians going, hey, I do Pinterest, hi. And so I was like, oh, how are they going to receive that? But when you explain to people that it could help you to redistribute your PPC ratios as an Amazon agency, then it allows the agency to be more free, instead of trying to hit, say, for example, iPhone as a keyword and just keep going for it, just, to the point where it's unaffordable. So if you can utilize that organic traffic and redistribute your PPC ratio, it means you can hit all the low-hanging fruit more effectively. And there's more longevity for clients with the agencies then, So it's kind of like, if you can use Pinterest ads to lower your ads in other places, then you've got a more long-standing clientele, long-term brand, basically. That's the way we look at it anyway.
Beautiful.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I have. That's so much powerful information. I really appreciate you diving deep with us.
Definitely.
No, not a problem at all. Thank you.
For me, I think I need to rephrase this, because I said I have no more questions, but I think I have a lot more questions, but I cannot ask all these questions, because if not, we're going into a consultancy call, and then all the power. Okay, but it's I think we need to connect afterwards, because I think I might have a few more questions for this.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
sure. I mean, there's a lot more to it, and video algorithms are the most powerful things. We've not even touched upon videos, but to utilize videos on Pinterest along with YouTube, again, Google, KAS,
wow.
There's a high ranking.
It's true. Yeah. We only went into photos now, so video as well. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Wow. Next session.
No, thank you very much. You've asked some really good questions. It's been really cool. Thank you for having me on as well.
Thank you so much, Matt. It was a pleasure, really. Thank you, Melissa.
Absolutely, a pleasure to step in on this one. There's some, I love to meet all of the people in the Amazon space and the e-commerce space, and every day I learn something that absolutely takes me by surprise. And this is definitely one of those things that there's so many layers to this. It feels like you can dive in and still just find more questions as you dive in. So
I think you've nailed it. It's unlimited, and the amount of creative funnels you can create yourself through marketing on Pinterest it could be unlimited, because you can find routes to market in so many diversified ways. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's crazy.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for letting me step in for Hi today. And Omar,
let's pin this. Let's thank you as well. Let's pin this one. I think we should pin it.
Yeah.
Put a pin in this. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.